heads up, because you are in the Hoodwood. I'm the Black Bandit, KJ Green, welcoming you to another edition of Sports from the Hoodwood. Coming up in this edition, what a World Series. Dodgers will go back to back, but not without a strong fight from the Blue Jays. We'll take a detailed wrap-up of one of the greatest series we've had in a long time. More fallout from the NBA scandal, betting scandal, more details, and it just gets worse and worse for the NBA in this nascent part of their season. NFL Week 10 picks, hey, I'm on a roll. Knock on wood, I better not jinx myself. See if I can keep the good times rolling with more picks. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. Phat Dab and Head Slap that you gotta check out. A Hoodwood Hot 5 of the greatest World Series. And a final word from the wood on some really tragic news that just came across just today. So you better buckle your seatbelts. Oh, I should say strap your headset. Oh, put your headset up. Oh, jeez. Buckle your seatbelts. Put your crash helmet on. It's Sports from the Hoodwood coming at you. Let's go.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for the most honest, unfiltered commentary and insight on the world of sports. Now, once again, here's Hoodwood's hometown hero, KJ Green.
Greetings from the Hoodwood, where we still need oxygen after that amazing World Series. I'm your man, KJ Green, welcoming you to another edition of Sports from the Hoodwood. And right off the top, the 2025 World Series will probably be one of those that will go down in ages as one of those that you just looked at and went, wow. The Dodgers and the Blue Jays slugging it out for 7 games, and a 7th game that went extra innings, a high-wired, taut affair that you just couldn't get enough of. It was like one of those, you couldn't look away from it. It was just that good. The Dodgers repeating as World Series champs, the first National League team to repeat as World Series champs since the Big Red Machine of the mid-'70s, the first MLB team to repeat as World Series champs since the Yankees of the turn of the century. It's been that long since we've had back-to-back World Series winners. And they earned it. The Blue Jays did not go down without a fight. Vlad Guerrero Jr. was just amazing. And he was in the scrappy Blue Jays would not back down. Yoshinobu Yamamoto was named Series MVP after just an absolute lights out 7th game performance, earning his 3rd win of the series. He had a 1.02 ERA, and people say clutch a lot of times, and I think it's something that's used a little too often. Somebody has a great performance in one game, and you go, "Oh, he was clutch." He was like, no. Yamamoto was a bona fide ace. I mean, a lot of people talked about Ohtani, about how his pitching, playing both ways, and he was such a dangerous hitter, and he was pretty much going to be a shoe-in for the World Series MVP. And he started Game 7, but didn't really seal the deal. He was knocked out after Bo Bichette hit an absolute, I think that ball's still in orbit. His 3-run home run early on staked the Jays to an early lead, but the Dodgers just seemed to keep getting off the mat time after time, getting clutch hits. And it was from unlikely sources. A game-tying home run in the 9th where the Jays were just a couple of outs away from clinching their first World Series in 30-some-odd years. And Dave Roberts knew, I got an ace with Yamamoto, and he called on him, and Yamamoto did everything but clean the dugout. Oh, wait a minute. He did clean the dugout after the Dodgers Game 2 win, after he pitched in that game. But Yamamoto came into Game 7, retired the side, entered the game with he was in a jam. The Dodgers needed to get out. He got the outs, retired the side in the 10th, and forced a game-ending double play in the 11th. He pitched 2 1/3 innings to clinch the World Series MVP. And you can't say enough about the kid. He was ice water. First pitcher to earn 3 wins in a single World Series since 2001, when some unknown pitcher, I don't know his name, you might have heard of Randy Johnson. Yeah. When you're putting yourself in a class like that, you're doing some work. And he was the first Japanese-born pitcher to win the Most Valuable Player award in the series. The second most valuable player of Japanese descent since Hideki Matsui did so for the Yankees in 2009. But you can't say enough about this series. I mean, the Dodgers needed to win both games 6 and 7 on the road in hostile territory, and the Rogers Center was just rowdy for both games. But the Dodgers just seemed to just shrug it off and steal their way. And I don't say steal as in like STAL, but steal themselves to they needed to get the wins on the road, and they did it. And you can't say enough about Dave Roberts and his just cool, calm presence in the dugout that the Dodgers just keep looking to him like he's like, nobody worry. He put the right players in the right situations and seemed to always push the right buttons to get the Dodgers the wins that they needed to secure their repeat World Series championship. And people are going, are the Dodgers a dynasty? You know, to say the D word now may be a bit premature, but you have to think who's going to take the title from the Dodgers? Barring, a number of injuries, they're set to really run it back in 26 and possibly go after a three-peat because you look at the National League, the Brewers, the Phillies, the Padres may be able to push the Dodgers, but to take four wins from them in a NLCS, that's asking a lot. And the Dodgers in a short series with that starting pitching and that hitting, you make a mistake to the Dodgers, they're going to hurt you. Now, the Blue Jays may have a little bit of stronger competition getting back to the World Series again in 26 with the ascending Mariners really pushing them hard in their ALCS, and they are a young team that could run it back. And we could see a Blue Jays Mariners rematch the ALCS next October. I wouldn't be surprised to see that team back in there and pushing the Blue Jays hard to secure their first World Series in franchise history. But the Blue Jays, they shouldn't hang their heads. They were a great team. They took the Dodgers to the wall. I mean, an extra inning, seventh game, saying game 7 in any kind of playoff atmosphere is magical. When you say seventh game in a winner-take-all situation like a league championship series, the stakes are ratcheted even higher. But you say a seventh game in the World Series, look at the 7-game World Series that we've had in the past 30, 40 years. They all have been memorable. You go back to, the 2002 All-California World Series between the Angels and the Giants. That was memorable. Look at the 91 World Series. Jack Morris pitching 10 innings to clinch the World Series, throwing 10 shutout innings, by the way. The Marlins winning their first World Series in 97, taking down a scrappy Cleveland team on a walk-off base hit. You say 7th game, you're almost guaranteed it's going to be magical. And this one did not fail. And it's like, I'm looking going, damn, baseball is over with. Until the boys of summer come back in February, it's like I'm already looking forward to a new season. But this one is going to be one for the memory banks and one for the books. Hats off to the Dodgers for winning the title. The situation is messy. To be as succinct and as blunt as possible, this whole situation with the NBA and gambling, and so far it's not looking like games are being fixed, but Chauncey Billups is in a position where he's in a lot of trouble. Being recruited by a member of the mafia, him and Cavaliers player, then coach, Damon Jones, to be part of rigged poker games that were run by prominent crime families in the New York area. Now, this is according to an indictment that and company court documents that were made public in the past few days. This is a very complex situation, and it isn't something that can be explained in a 5-minute segment. I encourage people to take a look at this and read deeper into this because it is a very intricate and complex situation. And I've stated it before that this may very well cost Chauncey Billups his coaching career because there is nothing that is more radioactive in any sport, not just the NBA, but in sports, especially professional sports in general, than any kind of illicit ties to the mafia, sports betting, illegal sports betting, and gambling. Many people still feel that Michael Jordan lost a year of his career, a year and a half of his career, because of gambling, that he was quietly suspended by David Stern in the mid-90s. Players in the 60s, 50, 60 years ago, Connie Hawkins and Roger Brown, two players who were associated with a former player turned mob fixer. Their careers were severely derailed, hampered. Connie Hawkins lost 6-7 years of his career, prime years from college and potentially in the pros because of an association with a mob fixer. The integrity, and I talked about this last week in my final word comment. The integrity is the thing that is always in question. The integrity of the game, to know that it is on the up and up, that it's level playing field, that there isn't some sort of script being used. But when you're talking about fixers and mafioso and the implications that could be laid bare, it's a messy situation, again, to be sure. It's no secret that professional players like to play cards, tunk, poker. It's two of the more popular card games, bid whist. Two or three of the more popular card games that are played by professional athletes. A lot of times they have a lot of time on their hands and they play games, card games with each other. There's nothing wrong with that, nothing at all. But when you have poker games that are found out to be rigged and that these players or coaches have a hand in steering marks or potential victims to lose tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then that tie holding the player, the coach, and a mafioso who might be able to pull his coattail and say, look, I got you a bunch of money with this card game. If you don't want me to expose you, you need to give me some betting lines or some inside information to help me get this bet, to help me win this money. And the situation like that can get very intricate, very messy, and potentially ruin a player's livelihood. The betting scandal and the gambling scandal are not excuse me. These two things are not connected per se. But the gambling investigations and the illicit gambling that may have taken place are intricately tied together because, again, it calls into the integrity of the NBA. If they have players, coaches that are involved in some sort of gambling or cheat, and it's at the very short jump from gambling to fixing to cheating. If that is the case, the NBA will have an incredibly large PR nightmare on its hands. How deep does this run? Right now, it is not known who is involved with this, but it is something that the NBA is trying to work with the federal government to figure out who's involved, what the level of it is. And it's going to get a lot messier before it gets any cleaner. Make it make sense. I'm looking at the college football playoff rankings, the first ones being released this past Tuesday. And of course, the teams at the top, no real big surprise. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, your usual Big Ten SEC suspects. Once you get below 5, then things start getting a little jumbled up. Ole Miss, BYU is all the way up at 7, even though they're 8th in the AP Top 25, above Texas Tech, them two having a Saturday date. Notre Dame sits at 10, even though they've lost twice. But then you have teams like Utah, who's ranked 17th in the top 25, but they're 13th in the college football playoff rankings, just below that number 12 cutoff line. Top 12 teams, the ones that have the inside track. Now, I'm still trying to figure out if you have rankings from 1 to 25 and the highest ranked group of 5, which right now there is no group of 5 team in the college football playoff rankings. Notre Dame is an independent, but they're not part of the group of 5. Memphis right now sits as the highest ranked so-called group of 5, group of 4, what I don't remember what number it is, but of the second tier of FBS teams. They are currently ranked 22nd. Pittsburgh is ranked 24th, but they are not ranked in the AP Top 25. Tennessee is ranked 25th, but they're ranked 23rd in the AP Top 25. My beloved alma mater, University of Cincinnati, is ranked 25th in the AP Top 25 after taking an awful beating to Utah, but they are not in the college football playoff rankings. Make it make sense. You have a team like Iowa, who is 20th in the college football playoff rankings, but they're not in the AP Top 25. Again, make this all make sense. Georgia Tech fell from 8 to 16 after losing to North Carolina State, but they still look like they have a good chance of making the college football playoff. Right now, all I see is Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, BYU, and Texas Tech. The Big 12 could get to possibly 3 teams. The Big 10 is already, and the SEC are already angling and whining that they should have as many spots as possible. Trying to get Texas and Oklahoma a pair of 2 loss teams. 2 loss teams. And again, and I have maintained this, top consideration should always be given to the conference champions, whoever wins the conference championship game. Second consideration should be to their opponent in said game. If you do not make your conference title game, you're on a third tier with a bunch of other teams who are jockeying around to get position in the CFP. Conference affiliation should not matter. You win the Big 10, okay, you're in. You win the SEC, okay, you're in. You win the Big 12, okay, you're in. You win the ACC, okay, you're in. That's 4 slots. The other 8 slots should go on a merit-based merit-based criteria from playing in your conference championship game and then the highest rank who are left. So you would think another 4 slots would go to conference runner-ups if they're ranked high enough. This is going to get a whole lot messier in the next 6 weeks. From the entire month of November until the final rankings come out in the second week of December. This is going to be messy, and the politics and politicking for said spots is just going to get more and more convoluted. Let's take a time out, come back with week 10 of the NFL schedule. Sports from Hoodwood continues after this.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's premier destination for no-nonsense commentary, thorough analysis, and logical insight on the world of sports. Now here's the man that Wikipedia and Google call for sports fact checks, your host, KJ Green.
You are back in the Hoodwood. My name is KJ Green, and let's go into the Week 10 NFL picks. Last week, another decent win for the home team. Thank you for the applause. Anyway, 10-4 on the week, and I'm not one to always try to explain my losses away, but, I mean, honestly, let's look at it. The Colts-Steelers game was a toss-up. I should have known better to pick the Vikings, against the Vikings, I should say, when they were taking on the Lions. I was just like, I thought J.J. McCarthy wasn't going to have a good game, and that Cardinals-Cowboys game, something told me, and I said as much in my picks last week, that if the game was in Arizona, I would have felt better taking the Cardinals, but the Cardinals took the fight to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys just looked bad. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. The Cowboys are not the team that we thought they were, and they're playing underwhelming, and the Cardinals took the fight to them and beat them pretty handily. So, with the desire to do better, or at least maintain, I present to you the Week 10 NFL picks for your perusal, approval, and review. Now, the lines are provided by ESPN Bet, and for comparison and entertainment purposes only. I say that because I don't pay bookies. You bet the line and lose, or mess up your parlay, your 12-team parlay because of lines that I provided you. That's on you. Don't complain to me. I don't want to hear it. Keep in mind that the 3-6 Bengals, who lost to the Bears 47-42, the 3-5-1 Cowboys, who lost to the Cardinals 27-17, the 1-8 Titans, who lost to the Chargers 27-20, and the 5-4 Chiefs, who lost to the Bills 28-21, are all on their respective byes. And since all of them took losses, I think they are happy for a bye so they can lick their wounds and try to get back at it after this week. So let's start out with the Thursday night game, the 2-6 Raiders taking on the 7-2 Broncos at Empower Field at Mile High. 8:15 kickoff on Amazon Prime. The Broncos are 9.5-point favorites. Last week, the Raiders lost to the Jaguars 30-29 in overtime, while the Broncos defeated the Texans 18-15. Fast fact here is that the 30-29 overtime score the Raiders lost to the Jags was the first score of its kind in overtime. Now, the Raiders tried like a scout. They took the fight to the Jags and came up short when a 2-point conversion, which I think was the right call, given it was overtime. Go for the win. You don't want to go for the tie. Go for the win at home. Go for the win anyway. In overtime, you can get it. But the 2-point conversion failed, and they ended up on the short end of the stick against the Jags. They head to the Mile High City to take on the Broncos, who are rolling. They're feeling themselves after doing a Texas two-step, after beating the Cowboys and the Texans in successive weeks. Is it time to really give Bo Nix his flowers? You know I don't like Sean Payton, but he has been the quarterback whisperer, and Bo Nix has been playing like a champ, and the Broncos are in first place in the AFC West because of his stellar play. What does that mean for the Raiders? Bad news. Short turnaround on the road, playing a team feeling itself. It's just a bad combination for the silver and black. That's why I'm going to lay it off right off the top by making the Denver Broncos the Hoodwood lock of the week. Now let's move on to the Sunday games. Games of Sunday, November 9th. All times are Eastern Standard. Do check with the fine folks at 506sports.com for a comprehensive coverage map of the games in your area. We will start out in Europe again. This time, the 3-5 Falcons taking on the 7-2 Colts at Olympic Stadium in Berlin, Germany. 9:30 a.m. kickoff on NFL Network. The Colts are 6.5-point favorites. Last week, the Falcons lost to the Patriots 24-23, while the Colts lost to the Steelers 27-20. Both these teams head over to Germany to do battle. Both of them coming off of close losses on the road, but Colts shook up their team by acquiring all-world cornerback Sauce Gardner, former Bearcat, to bolster already strong secondary, and that means bad news for a middling Falcons pass who has been jumping between Michael Penix Jr. and Kirk Cousins. Who's going to start for quarterback at the Falcons? Does it really matter? I really don't think that they're really going to be able to measure up to the Colts. And the old monkey song, I'm a believer. Daniel Jones, he's kind of convincing me that he is worthy of the high praise. He's playing top notch, and I think the Colts are going to roll fairly easily in Germany. The pick here is Indianapolis. Next on the docket, we have the 2-7 Giants taking on the 5-3 Bears at Soldier Field in Chicago. 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. The Bears are 3.5-point favorites. Last week, the Giants lost to the 49ers 34-24. While the Bears defeated the Bengals 47-42. Fast fact, here's for last week's win. The Bears were 2-109 when giving up 40 or more points. They gave up 40 points last week and still came out with the dub. Both these teams, the old NFL school matchup between ancient rivals, the Giants, you feel for them. After losing Cam Scatterboo, after losing Malik Neighbors, their offense is patchwork, kind of punchless. Jackson Dart trying like a scout, but he just doesn't have the offensive weapons to keep up. The Bears are up and down, up and down. You never know which team is going to show up. Is a team the lackluster offense that played against Baltimore at home, or the high-powered offense that just seemed to put up the yards and points against the Bengals? I think the latter was more because the Bengals defense is just horrid. The Bears defense isn't that much better. But I think with the limited options that the Giants have, that the Bears will be able to put up enough points to secure the win. The pick is Chicago. Next on the docket, we have the 6-2 Bills taking on the 2-7 Dolphins at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. The Bills are 9.5-point favorites. Last week, the Bills defeated the Chiefs 28-21, while the Dolphins lost to the Ravens 28-6. The Bills slugged it out against the Chiefs, their new arch rival, and then now head south to face a long-time divisional rival that isn't looking very sharp. Mike McDaniel's seat is roasting. And after that lackluster Thursday night performance against the Ravens, if they play that way against the Bills, he might be looking for a job. Book it. The Bills' offense is looking very sharp. James Cook is running wild and keeping my fantasy football team afloat. Thank you, Mr. Cook. Josh Allen is looking very sharp, and I think he should be able to move the ball fairly well against the Miami defense, and they should be able to secure the win. The pick here is Buffalo. Next on the docket, we have the 3-5 Ravens taking on the 4-4 Vikings at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. The Ravens are 6.5-point favorites. Last week, the Ravens defeated the Dolphins 28-6, while the Vikings defeated the Lions 27-24. To a lot of people's surprises, including mine, the Vikings looked fairly sharp in defeating the Lions in Detroit. They head home to host a Ravens team who looked the part of an AFC contender, with Lamar Jackson back at the helm as they slapped around the Dolphins. Do I think that the Dolphins' defense was tailor-made for Lamar Jackson to pick them apart? Yes. Do I think that the Vikings will be able to slow Lamar Jackson down some? I'm probably going to hate myself in the morning, but I just think that the Vikings defense might have just enough to hold off Lamar Jackson and get a close win. I'm probably going to hate myself in the morning for this, but I'm going to go with Minnesota as a Hoodwood upset of the week. Next on the docket, we have the 2-6 Browns taking on the 1-7 Jets at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. The Browns 2.5-point favorites. Last week, both teams were on their respective byes. Fast fact is the Browns and the Jets played the very first Monday Night Football game in Cleveland some 55 years ago. Is this a game anyone wants to watch? For some reason, the Hoodwood, and I don't know what we did to deserve this, but we're in the area that this Browns-Jets game is going to be on CBS. What have we done to deserve this? What have we done to y'all? Why y'all give us these two teams, these two dredge teams that no one wants to see? The less said about this game, the better. Flip a coin. The pick here is Cleveland. I'm not going to watch that game. I can guarantee you that much. Next on the docket, we have the 7-2 Patriots taking on the 6-2 Buccaneers at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. Buccaneers 2.5-point favorites. Last week, the Patriots defeated the Falcons 24-23, while the Buccaneers were on their bye. Sneaky good game in the Bay with the Patriots, a surprising 7-2 leader of the AFC East, taking on the Buccaneers, who just seem to keep mowing teams down left and right. Battle of two really good quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield has firmly established himself as the man in Tampa, while Drake May is really turning heads with his quiet, steady play in New England. This is another coin flip game. Tough call on this one. But I like that the Buccaneers are getting healthy and getting a lot of their players back. They've been playing well without them. So what do you think they're going to do with a full complement of receivers? They're not going to have Mike Evans. He's out. He's on the shelf and out for the rest of the season with a broken collarbone. But I think the Buccaneers will have just enough weapons to win a tight shootout. Pick here is Tampa Bay. Let's take a time out, come back with the rest of the early docket, the late docket, and the primetime games. Sports from Hoodwood comes back at you after this.
Is today your last day on Earth because you are being deployed to space tomorrow? Have you just turned 18 and you're ready to get out of your parents' house? Has your granddaughter gotten her boyfriend pregnant? Whatever your reason, you need us at GottaGetMarriedNow.com. We specialize in last-minute weddings. Active duty, military veterans and retired discounts are available. Visit us at GottaGetMarriedNow.com.
Do you love high school football? Want to get in the minds of coaches before their big game? Then tune into the Hurry Up podcast. Presented by Hoodwood Media Group, the Hurry Up checks in with high school coaches weekly to get their thoughts on their next opponent and what it will take to get a victory. Check out the Hurry Up podcast every Thursday on YouTube on the Hoodwood Media Group page, linked in the show notes. Be sure to follow us on social media at HG Media Group. And now, back to the Hoodwood.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for the most honest insight, thorough analysis, and unfiltered opinion on the world of sports. Now, once again, here's the man of the hour, After Hours, your host, KJ Green.
You are back in the Hoodwood. Let's continue with the Week 10 NFL picks. Next on the docket, we have the 1-8 Saints taking on the 5-4 Panthers at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. The Panthers are 5.5-point favorites. Last week, the Saints lost to the Rams 34-10, while the Panthers defeated the Packers 16-13. Now, the Saints are as bad as advertised, but the Panthers are better than advertised after going into Green Bay and knocking off the Packers. And that was one of my 4 loss picks. And don't even, if you're not even in Charlotte, if you're not in the Carolina area, don't even start to say that you picked the Panthers to beat the Packers.
Stop the cap.
You didn't do it. Don't even try it. The Panthers are better than advertised and playing very well. Bryce Young is looking like he's coming into his own as a solid NFL quarterback. Rico Dowdle, he is a baller. He shouldn't have gotten fined by the NFL for that celebration. Come on, no fun league. Stop being a hater on this young brother. He is the real deal as a good running back. The Saints are lost. They're not playing good, and this is not going to be an ugly game. That's not quite to the hide your kids, hide your wife. The Panthers aren't that much of a bully yet, but they should be able to knock around the Saints. The pick here is Carolina. Next on the docket, we have the 5-3 Jaguars taking on the 3-5 Texans at NRG Stadium in Houston. 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. The Texans are 1.5-point favorites. Last week, the Jaguars defeated the Raiders 30-29 in overtime, while the Texans lost to the Broncos 18-15. Fast fact here is that the Jags kicker Cam Little hit a 68-yard field goal to end the half last week in Las Vegas. That's an NFL record. And then the NFL sent a drug test requirement to the young brother after he hit the field goal. Come on, haters. Dude can kick a ball. But let's get into the game. And the Jaguars have been playing fairly decent. They have a couple of good games, and they look like they have no idea what they're doing. Have a couple more good games, and then have no idea what they're doing. Do I think this is this they don't have no idea what they're doing game against the Texans? Not quite. I don't think with the loss of C.J. Stroud hampering the Texans offense, I really don't think that they're good enough to be able to get the win. It might be a tight game. This is a slight rivalry. This is one of these underrated rivalry games. Both teams will be ready to slug it out, but I think the Jaguars are the better team. The pick here is Jacksonville. Turning to the late games, we'll start out with the 3-5 Cardinals taking on the 6-2 Seahawks at Lumen Field in Seattle. 4:05 kickoff on CBS. The Seahawks are 6.5-point favorites. Last week, the Cardinals defeated the Cowboys 27-17, while the Seahawks defeated the Commanders 38-14. Now, the Cardinals surprised a lot of people, me included, by going into Jerry World and knocking off the Pokes. Going into Seattle and knocking off the Seahawks might be a little bit tougher task for the red and white. The Seahawks looked sharp against the Commanders. They jumped on them early, didn't let them breathe, and rolled to a fairly easy win. Sam Darnold, God, I wish the Vikings hadn't let him go, is playing like he means business. And I think against the Cardinals defense, which can be suspect at times, I think he should be able to find his way. The pick here is Seattle. Next on the docket, we have the 6-2 Rams taking on the 6-3 49ers at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. 4:25 kickoff on Fox. The Rams are 3.5-point favorites. Last week, the Rams defeated the Saints 34-10, while the 49ers defeated the Giants 34-24. Sneaky good game on the late docket where the Rams and the 49ers battle for NFC West supremacy. This is an old school battle from West Coast teams, and both teams are looking good. Matthew Stafford is looking ageless. He's in his 17th season. Can you believe that? Damn, I feel old. I remember when he was playing at Georgia. But he is playing like he's on reaching the Wayback Machine and is playing good. Even with Puka Nacua just coming back from injury, he still has now Devontae Adams on the other side, and he has offensive weapons, almost an embarrassment of riches. The 49ers, are we looking at a quarterback controversy? Possibility. But it's a coin flip of who's going to start for quarterback of the 49ers. This is a tough game to call because both teams, I think, are fairly evenly matched. But I think the Rams have just enough firepower to win. In this game, I think it's going to be a shootout. Pick here is the LA Rams. Next on the docket, we have the 5-3 Lions taking on the 3-6 Commanders at Northwest Field in Landover, Maryland. 4:25 kickoff on Fox. The Lions are 8.5-point favorites. Last week, the Lions lost to the Vikings 27-24, while the Commanders lost to the Seahawks 38-14. When the schedule makers drew this schedule up and put this matchup together, it looked like a marquee matchup. Rematch of a playoff game. The Lions looking like they want to be wanting revenge over the Commanders for knocking them out of the playoffs. Now it's looking like it could be a hide your kids, hide your wife type game. The Lions are not in a good mood after a tough loss to the Vikings at home, and the Commanders are looking weaker and weaker, and an injury is following them around, and that gruesome injury to Jaden Daniels when the game he should have been out of that game last week against the Seahawks just makes the Commanders just that much more weaker. The Lions are going to be looking for revenge, and they're not going to spare the Commanders any quarters. This might be an ugly game. The pick here is Detroit. The primetime game is the 5-3 Steelers taking on the 6-3 Chargers at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. 8:20 kickoff on NBC and Peacock. The Chargers are 2.5-point favorites. Last week, the Steelers defeated the Colts 27-20, while the Chargers defeated the Titans by the same score, 27-20. Now, these are two teams who are near the top of their divisions. This is a good primetime game. The Steelers, many people say looking at them as a little bit suspect, but they proved a few people, naysayers, wrong by slapping around the Colts and leading pretty much start to finish. The Chargers struggled against the Titans in Nashville, but coming home, I think that the Chargers offense should be good enough to outduel the Steelers. It'll be a tight game to be sure, but I think the Chargers at home is a fairly safe bet. The pick here is the LA Chargers. Finally, for the Monday night game, we have the 6-2 Eagles taking on the 5-2-1 Packers at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. 8:15 kickoff on ABC and ESPN. The Packers are 2.5-point favorites. Last week, the Eagles were on their bye, while the Packers lost to the Panthers 16-13. Now, while the Eagles were licking their wounds on their bye week, the Packers basically embarrassed themselves by struggling with a better than advertised Panthers team and dropping a game that they should have won. Taking on these two teams clashing in the Monday night matchup, these are two really good teams. And I'm seeing both teams' defenses being factors here. Can Jalen Hurts move the ball against the Packers defense? Can Jordan Love move the ball against the Eagles defense? This will be a game where points will be at the premium. But I still think that the Packers' loss to the Panthers exposed some weaknesses. They seem to sink to the level of weak teams that they should be beating, while rising to better teams that they are better, are equal to, or better than. Do I think it'll happen this time? No. I think the Eagles are the better team here, and I think they'll prove it by winning a tight game. The pick here is the Philadelphia Eagles. And there you have it. Last week, I went 10-4. Lock and upset both correct. I am 91-43-1 on the year, 8-1 on my locks, 5-4 on my upsets. We will take our final timeout, come back with the Hoodwood Hot 5, Phat Dap, Head Slap, and the final word from the Wood. Sports from the Hoodwood heads down the home stretch after this.
You're tuned into Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for no-nonsense commentary, insight, and opinions on the world of sports. Here now live in living color, black by popular demand. Your host, KJ Green.
Rounding third and headed for home here in the Hoodwood, we'll finish up strong with the Hoodwood Hot 5, Phat Dap, Head Slap, and the final word from the Wood. This week's topic, I know I said I was going to chronicle my Hoodwood Hot 5, top 5 for best college football teams, rolling poll, but I'll push that back for 1 week. We already talked about the first college football playoff poll, so instead of doing a little overkill, we'll go to a different subject. The top 5, at least in my opinions, 7-game World Series. And I'm 53, and I've seen all of these World Series except one, but the one that I have listed as 5, I'm only putting that 5 because I didn't see it live, but I've seen enough chronicles of it and read a lot about it where I could safely put this on this list. We're on from 5 to 1. As best World Series of all time, or number 5, is going to be the 1975 World Series between the Cincinnati Reds and the Boston Red Sox. And if you listen to Red Sox fans, they won that series in 6 games, or they lost in 7 games. The Red Sox didn't win the 75 World Series. Carlton Fisk's home run, while dramatic and winning Game 6, was winning Game 6. It tied the series. The Reds won the 75 World Series in 7 games, winning that next night. But with the number of Hall of Famers on both squads, this was a series for the ages and one of the greatest series of all time. But in my Hoodwood High 5, it's only number 5. Our number 4 in the top World Series is the 1997 World Series between the Florida Marlins and the Cleveland Indians, now Guardians. This was a weird series. You had everything. You had high-scoring games. You had pitchers' duels. You had snow. And you also had a walk-off Game 7 that ended with a slap back up the middle. Edgar Renteria will never have to worry about buying a drink in South Florida, as he had the game-winning hit that gave the Florida Marlins, who were just 4 years away from being an expansion team, its first World Series title. Now, Wayne Huizenga tore that team up, and that 98 team, the defending world champions, fell to 54-108, and I think put more gray hairs in Jimmy Leland's head than he should have had. But that 97 World Series was one for the ages. But in our Hoodwood Hot 5, that's number 4. Our number 3 is the 1986 World Series between The Boston Red Sox said, "You again?" Yes, they played the New York Mets. And that was another classic 7-game series. Another classic game 6. This time the Mets won on the ground ball through Bill Buckner's legs, which until the Red Sox won the World Series in 2004, Buckner wasn't a very welcome person in New England. But time heals all wounds, and the late Bill Buckner is now brightly revered as a great Red Sox player. But the amazing Mets won 108 games that year and held off a good Astros team and an even better Red Sox team to win a classic World Series. At number 2, and I went back and forth on this, which one I wanted to go, but I'm going to go with the 2016 World Series. Here we go with Cleveland again, losing a tight 7-game series. But the Cubs were a team of destiny. They just seemed to keep getting off the mat time and time again. And for once, they didn't blow it. For once, they didn't turn into the Cubs and fumble away. There wasn't a bad ground ball that went through the middle. It wasn't an overzealous fan trying to grab a foul ball. It wasn't a 7th-game meltdown. It was the Cubs winning, finally, in extra innings on the road in Cleveland. One of the greatest World Series. And when that final third to first throw was made and the Cubs finally won it all, I know of so many people who were weeping with joy. I know of so many people who went to cemeteries and poured toasts with their deceased relatives saying they finally won it. And I'm pretty sure in that Ultra High Skybucks that Harry Carey and Bernie Mac and Jack Brickhouse were all toasting, and Ernie Banks were all toasting to that fabled 2016 team. That was a great team. It was a great World Series. But the number 1 World Series is at 7 games, and maybe I have a little bias on it because it's my favorite team, but the 1991 World Series between the Minnesota Twins and the Atlanta Braves. That was a epic series. The home team won every game. You had some controversy with Ken Herbeck lifting a guy off of the bag to make a pickoff tag. You had great pitching all the way around. A heroic walk-off 6-game home run by Kirby Puckett. The legendary call by Jack Buck, and we'll see ya tomorrow night, was legendary. And that 7th game, Jack Morris pitching 10 shutout innings and the Twins winning in walk-off fashion in the 7th game. As a Twins fan, it's been 34 years since the Twins last won the World Series, and I hang on to that because there was one thing I will always treasure, with Gene Larkin hitting that last walk-off hit and Dan Gladding trotting in and jumping on the plate and all, but 3 or 4 players jumping with him all at the same time. It's one of those memorable things. But those are my top 5 all-time World Series. That's my top 5. What's yours? Our Phat Dap and Head Slap of the Week both are covering basketball. Our Phat Dap goes to Brandon Dwyer of Florida Gulf Coast University, who in 5 years of playing was a walk-on and patiently waited and waited and waited and waited for his chance to at least get 1 point in a collegiate game. And he chronicled it by calling it the road to 1 point. He played for LaSalle and then transferred to Florida Gulf Coast and just didn't play. He had 1 shot in the 21-22 season, registered 2 minutes as a true freshman walk-on, and he missed his only shot. That was the only shot he took for 3 years. As a senior at Florida Gulf Coast, he went 0 for 2 from 3-point range, even though he played in a few games, but he made some appearances, but didn't get a shot up. But then, against New College of Florida, that doesn't matter who he was playing against, but he finally got in, and this happened. Not only does he make his first shot, you can see him just cheesing as he's going back down court, but he gets another shot, and he makes it. 6 points. Are you kidding me? Brandon Dwyer, you get this week's Phat Dap, and it's just unbelievable that he made those shots and had the patience to stay true to his craft, to all those hours of practice and playing and being on the bench and not getting into games. He finally got his chance and finally got his shot. He made it. Good for him. Now, our head slap of the week, I really don't know who the player is, and I feel bad for him, but let's just roll the clip. It's bad. I mean, missing a dunk, that's one thing. But coming up, playing like you're coming up lane, and they were clowning this guy badly. That was bad. Head slap to, if you're going to try the dunk and miss it, just take the L. Don't make it worse by faking an injury. And without much further ado, let's go to the final word from the Wood. Far be it from me to belabor a point. A couple weeks ago, my final word from the Wood was about mental health and how it mattered and how there was people who were struggling and that it was always a good idea to check on said people. I never thought that the words that I was putting out would come back so devastatingly, honestly, as fast as they did. Cowboys defensive back Marshawn Kneeland took his life with a self-inflicted gunshot wound on Thursday morning. He was 24. The young man had just played Monday night in the Cardinals-Cowboys game and recovered a blocked punt for a touchdown for the Cowboys in their 27-17 loss to the Arizona Cardinals. While details are still sketchy of what happened that caused Kneeland to take his own life, he was someone who was struggling with the recent passing of his mother that had happened just barely a year past. I understand what kind of frame of mind that he may have been going through with losing his mother, as I lost mine a year ago, May. But it seems that there was a general overall failure, that the system failed this young man, that the Cowboys, with their resources and personnel, that no one saw any of the signs that the young man was struggling. And that in itself is an absolute shame and tragedy, that this young man, at the peak of his career, would take his own life, a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Was there anyone there that was able to listen to him? Did anybody miss the signs? And it's easy to Monday morning quarterback now, but mental health matters. To check on someone before they go too far, before they take that drastic final step. It's something that needs to be done. And while the NFL and the Cowboys family struggles to come to grips with what happened, there needs to be more investigation. There needs to be more research as to why or what drove this young man to take his own life. It is a sad, sad situation that we don't realize something that's happened until after the fact. And then we have to struggle to put the pieces back together or try to explain why a person took such drastic measures. As I've said before, mental health matters. Taking the time to look out for someone, to see how they're feeling, to listen with empathy of what they are dealing with, and not necessarily offer solutions, but at least offer some sort of comfort and be willing to listen. Sometimes just to be able to listen may make all the difference. And that is the final word from the Wood. Now, with the music coming up in the background, you know that means that your time here in the Hoodwood is just about done, and I thank you so much for your visit. The show's email is kjgreen@sportsfromthehoodwood.com. Please send me emails regarding show topics, both past and future, questions, comments on the show, and both praise and criticism. I welcome your correspondence and will try to get back to you in a timely manner. The show's website is sportsfromthehoodwood.com, which has a back catalog of the show dating back 12 years in both audio and video forms. So check that out if there are shows that you may have missed. You can join the debate and conversation on the Sports from the Hood page on Facebook, which also has a video podcast simulcast, as well as other topics, plenty of stuff that I find on the web, plenty of great sports debate, and lots more. I post often and respond to member posts frequently. Now, the video versions are also on YouTube. Please hit that subscribe and smash that like button for more great content. Now, the link to this podcast is also on the show's Blue Sky feed at hoodwoodsports.bsky.social with a host of interesting stuff to find there. Your correspondence with the show is encouraged, and we do respond back, so like and follow there as well. The audio version of the show is on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Samsung Podcast, Apple Podcasts, and a host of other fine podcast platforms and providers. If Hoodwood is not on your favorite, please do ask for it. Drop me a line and I'll see what I can do to get it there in a timely manner. We've expanded our podcast availability thanks to your correspondence. As always, special thanks to Rage Pictures for providing production assistance to both the show and website. That's it for the Hoodwood, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Until next time, fellow sports fans, I'm merely Bev's son, KJ Green, 30.
Sports from the Hoodwood
Is a Black Bandit Productions and Enterprises presentation.
of a 551 Audio and Films production.